When I heard my biological parents wanted to bring me home, just to harvest one of my kidneys, for my younger brother who had kidney failure, I flat out refused to acknowledge them. But who would have thought they'd go straight to a professional mediation TV show? The moment I stepped on stage, the host took the moral high ground and started blasting me, constantly guilt-tripping me about filial piety. Chu fan, are you holding a grudge? Because your biological parents abandoned you as a child. A person should be forgiving. If you only care about your own petty feelings, then you're not a person of excellence. You don't deserve the title of top university scorer. As a son, you need to understand your parents' hardships. You'll have kids of your own someday, and your current behavior will make your kids think that you're a narrow-minded jerk. The host was wearing an expensive suit, one hand in his pocket, gesturing wildly with the other, and occasionally pointing right at my nose. He used his mighty, condescending stance to condemn my so-called coldness and selfishness. His sharp words felt like daggers stabbing right at me. If I refused to acknowledge them now, what awaited me would be endless backlash from netizens. Even the companies that had their eyes on me as a top scorer, waiting for me to graduate to sign a contract, would probably lose all their goodwill toward me. Yet, I kept a completely cold expression. Are you done talking? The host was stunned for a moment, not expecting that after all that ranting. It still remained totally unfazed. He was about to open his mouth to lecture me again, when I shot him an icy glare. Host, this is a mediation show, right? The host froze, then instinctively answered, yes. I sneered. Since this is a mediation program, a mediator should consider the standpoints of both sides, striving to ensure both parties are satisfied. Yet you stubbornly sided with this couple, blabbering endlessly to force me into accepting their mistakes, and forgiving them for abandoning me, and if I don't accept it, then there's something wrong with my character. Tell me, are you a judge or the moral police? With just one sentence, you judge another person's character. You insist on forcing me to acknowledge these strangers, people who never gave me a single grain of rice or a sip of water, people who never once cared about my feelings. Is this the kind of character you have as a host? Is this your so-called professionalism as a mediator? By using this method of forcing one side to compromise, you shouldn't be called a mediator. You should be called a street thug. Whoever pays you is your sugar daddy. Whoever pays you, you become their mouthpiece. You rely entirely on your own preferences and personal values. To conduct mediation, whoever pays a higher appearance fee, you speak up for them. Being a mediator like this, are you even worthy of the TV audience? Let me ask you one last thing. Have you ever received professional training? Do you have any relevant psychological counseling certifications? I suspect you're a three-nose host. No certification, no morals, and no competence. The host was so pissed he looked ready to explode. I interrupted him in a stern voice. Shut up, show me your license before you say another word. Otherwise, you have no right to stand on this stage. This host didn't have a single certification. In the beginning, he purely relied on his sharp tongue to make a name for himself online. Later, he took shortcuts, gaining traction by intentionally attacking big stars, acting as a truth-exposing expert before finally becoming a host. I shifted my gaze back to my biological parents. That icy stare made Mr. and Mrs. Chu tremble involuntarily. How could you treat the host with such an attitude? Has only saying those things for your own good. Ma'am, you said you felt guilty about abandoning me and wanted me back to make up for it. So how do you plan to make it up to me, letting me inherit the family estate? How do you plan to make it up to me, letting me inherit the family estate? As far as I know, the Chu family still has another son, has the legitimate heir. If I go back, then as the older brother, shouldn't the position of heir belong to me? So the reason you're begging me so pitifully today is because you want me to go home and inherit the family fortune. Hearing this, my biological mother instinctively blurted out, how is that possible? The Chu family belongs to Chu Cheng. There's no way she stopped mid-sentence. Realizing she had misspoken, she immediately changed her tune, putting on a look of extreme agony. Chu fan, I didn't expect that being away from us all these years would breed such a greedy personality in you. You just got here, and you're already after the Chu family's wealth? But forget it, this is also our fault. We weren't there to raise you from a young age. Once you return to the Chu family, we'll provide you with a better education, to reshape your worldview. I wasn't moved in the slightest by my biological mother's touching words. I waited for her to finish before replying. So, you guys just want to alleviate the regret and guilt in your hearts without caring whether I'm willing or not. There's no actual substantial compensation either. It's all just empty talk. My biological mother froze for a moment, and a look of even deeper hurt appeared on her face, as if she had just taken 10,000 points of critical damage. How could you think of us like that? We want to acknowledge you again, specifically to make up for how we neglected you in the past. We are completely sincere. If you have any requests, just say the word. I kept a cold expression on my face, while sneering endlessly in my heart, sincere about targeting my kidney. More like it. However, I pretended to be slightly stunned, as if moved by my biological mother's touching words. With a hint of anticipation on my face, I asked, Really, you want to bring me back into the family, and sincerely want to make it up to me. You're planning to let me be the eldest young master of the Chu group and become the #1 heir. So that's how it is. I misunderstood you guys. My biological father maintained a stern expression and began delivering his heartfelt speech. Chu fan. The Chu family's business is meant to be passed down to an outstanding child. Cheng Cheng has received an excellent education since he was young, growing up immersed in it. He is naturally the most suitable heir. As for you, we will use other ways to make it up to you. Well, let you be a wealthy young master of the Chu family, so you won't have to worry about food and clothing for the rest of your life. I cursed inwardly. Their so-called compensation was to first dig out one of my kidneys, then lock me up and raise me like livestock. Look, you don't even have to work, and you still have food, drinks, and a place to live. We treat you so well. See, my biological mother said with an earnest expression, this is the best arrangement for you. You have no experience, so you wouldn't be able to manage the company anyway. It would only bring you more stress. I replied with a cold look. But didn't the host just say that I'm a student at a prestigious university with excellent grades and a bright future? He said I have all these capabilities, solely thanks to inheriting my biological parents' superior genes. Since I inherited your superior genes, how could I possibly mismanage the company? I heard Chu Cheng goes to a third-rate business college. With my little brother's grades, managing a company must be incredibly stressful for him. If I return to the Chu family, I must absolutely shoulder the responsibilities of the eldest brother. My biological parents retorted in unison. You're a kid raised by a peasant couple. What right do you have to inherit the company? You should be thanking your lucky stars that you get to return to the Chu family as a rich young master. A kid raised by farmers, yet harboring such massive ambition. You actually want to seize our family's assets. My biological mother couldn't hold back anymore and glared at the host standing nearby. The host immediately stepped forward, pointing sternly at my nose and scolding. These are your biological parents. You share the same blood. This unbreakable familial bond cannot be measured with money. You receive a good basic education and even a college education, yet you only know how to fixate on your parents' wealth. You've completely disgraced millions of college students with this kind of behavior of yours. The moment you step off this stage today, you will be despised by your elders tomorrow, despised by your classmates. You'll never be able to hold your head high for the rest of your life. The host spoke with such intensity that his chest heaved continuously. His face turned bright red. That oppressive aura, if it were an ordinary person, they would have been scared out of their wits by now, but I remained completely unmoved. My expression plain and indifferent. I received a good mandatory education, thanks to my adoptive parents and the welfare of this country. I've always kept in mind to repay my adoptive parents and repay the country. You mentioned millions of college students. Did they sign a joint petition asking you to speak on their behalf? Or are you the president of some prestigious university, qualifying you to represent millions of college students? Chu fan, we genuinely want to bring you back into the family. We know we wronged you, and we know you have resentment in your heart. I'm begging you, please give us this chance to make it up to you. Please, I'm begging you. Seeing the host's efforts failing, my biological mother directly played the sympathy card. She threw herself at me, hugging me and wailing pitifully. This time, she wasn't as restrained as before. She was no longer silently wiping away her tears, but crying a river, like a burst dam. At the same time, incredibly touching background music started playing. Just listening to this music was enough to make even the calmest person shed a tear. Let alone having a biological mother like this, an actress full of touching emotions and supposed guilt, manipulating everyone's feelings. Sure enough, many guests and audience members at the scene couldn't help but cry along with her. Why don't you try forgiving them? They've already lowered themselves to beg you like this. They're over 40 years old, setting aside their pride in front of so many people. That's not easy at all. Back then, people couldn't even feed themselves, let alone raise a son. They had no other choice. Now they've realized their mistake. Giving them a chance to make amends won't cost you anything. Almost everyone was siding with my biological parents, but I was completely isolated from my surroundings. My heart didn't waver in the slightest. At the same time, I contacted my system. Amo, help me change the background music. After giving the order, I looked at my biological mother holding me tight, acting as if she wouldn't let go until I forgave her. I even patted her back as if to comfort her. Only, the force of those pats on her back was like pounding her with a hammer. My voice also carried a trace of sorrow. I really had no idea. So you guys have always been this guilty and heartbroken. Since that's the case, hearing these words, my biological mother thought I had been swayed by the atmosphere. She cried even harder. It's all my fault. Give me a chance to make up for my mistakes all these years, and I will definitely love you with all my heart. Just when everyone thought I was ready to forgive my parents, for a perfect, happy ending for everyone, the touching background music abruptly vanished. My biological mother's arrogant voice echoed out instead. No matter what, we have to make Chu fan accept us. Make him agree to come back to the Chu family with us. Cheng Cheng's condition can't wait any longer. Right after, the host's voice also echoed throughout the studio. No problem. I guarantee the Chu fan will acknowledge you right here on the show. I'm a professional. When it comes to this kind of thing, as for the compensation, we might need to renegotiate. After all, he's a grown man, and his mind is mature. It'll take a lot more effort to convince him. Besides, the situation is urgent. It has to succeed on the first try. After all, your son is still waiting for a kidney transplant, isn't he? Then came my biological mother's voice again. It'll transfer half the fee up front. The other half will be paid once it's done. Transferred to your other account. The recording studio suddenly fell into a dead silence. The audio recording was still playing, but as for the rest of the words, no one could hear a thing. Only words like critical condition and kidney transplant echoed in their minds. The host froze for 2 seconds before reacting, screaming frantically at the backstage crew. The music. Turn the damn music off. The backstage music director rushed out, looking completely shocked. What's wrong? You can't turn it off. Then pull the plug. The host, acting like he was possessed, dashed onto the stage, and frantically yanked out all the power cords. A tangled mess of wires twisted tightly together, connected to various lights and cameras, were all ripped out, and violently thrown to the ground in a heap, sizzling and sparking. The entire recording studio plunged into chaos. Several cameras and light stands crashed into each other, sending shards of shattered glass and plastic flying everywhere. The scene then fell into dead silence. The host was dripping with sweat, as the eyes of everyone around locked onto him, looking like they wanted to riddle him with holes. So it turns out you just want my kidney? You never genuinely wanted to make it up to me. I put on a deeply hurt expression, covering my face with one hand. I really can't face any of this. I spun around and bolted off the stage. As I ran past the host, I gave him a hard shove. Get out of my way, don't block me. With that push of mine, the host was sent flying backwards, landing flat on his back into the tangled pile of wires. What followed was a sharp business. His entire body violently convulsed in an instant. A bizarre, manic shriek echoed through the studio, accompanied by the stench of burning hair. After leaving the TV crew behind, I relied on my memories to return to my rented room. Having just finished the college entrance exams, and not yet enrolled, I came to the city where the university was located to settle in early, and pick up a part-time job to earn some tuition money since I had just transmigrated, and my soul hadn't completely merged with this body yet. I felt a bit exhausted. I lay down on the simple bed and quickly fell asleep. But not long after I dozed off, the doorbell started ringing like there was no tomorrow. Annoyed, I struggled to sit up and went to open the door. The moment the door opened, I was met with a stunningly arrogant face that looked down on everything. I froze for a second. Before I could even process who was standing there, the woman pushed the door open and barged in. She quickly scanned her surroundings, making no effort to hide her disgust. She arrogantly intended to take a seat on the sofa, only to find a cheap stool instead, and ultimately gave up on the idea. The woman flicked her wrist, throwing a stack of documents straight at my feet. This is the contract. Sign it. I lowered my head and glanced at it, my eyebrow twitching involuntarily. It turned out to be a kidney purchasing agreement. Without a doubt, this must be the peacock-like, arrogant female lead of this world. Yi Xiao. Sign it right now. Chu Cheng's condition. Can't wait a second longer. Yi Xiao's voice was freezing cold and left no room for debate, like a high and mighty queen ordering around her servant. I didn't bother picking up the contract from the floor. Looking at Yi Xiao's condescending attitude, I had the sudden urge to grab a meat cleaver and shave her head completely bald. Seeing that I didn't say anything, the fury in Yi Xiao's eyes blazed even fiercer. What, you think it's not enough money? Before I could answer, she threw me another icy glare. You should know that you're just a recent high school grad, not even officially a college student yet. The price I'm offering is already double the black market rate. Don't be greedy and push your luck. If you know what's good for you, sign it. Then come to the hospital with me right now. The money will be transferred promptly. Is this a forced sale? This kidney buying scene wasn't in the original plot, because the original host was just drugged and dragged onto the operating table. There was no need to spend a dime on him. Although the plot has changed now, the female lead you owe us attitude hasn't changed one bit. Thinking back to the original plot, after the host woke up with his kidney gone, what did the female lead Yi Xiao say? Chu Cheng is the man I love most in this life, and the most noble man of all. You giving it to him is totally worth it. I won't treat you badly. If a kidney is considered valuable, then wouldn't leaving it in my body be a waste? When the original owner said he didn't need any repayment and just wanted his kidney back, what did the female lead say? Stop being so unreasonable. Chu Cheng is the eldest young master of the Chu family, and he is my Yi Xiao's man. In the future, he'll also be the male master of the Yi group. He must have a healthy body. Meanwhile, you're just an ordinary university student from the countryside. At best, you'll just be a wage slave for others your entire life. If you can trade one kidney for a lifetime of wealth and glory, You should know when to be satisfied. Thinking about this, my temples throbbed wildly. Just leave. In not selling, Yi Xiao acted as if she had just heard the most ridiculous joke, and let out a cold sneer. You really are a country bumpkin. Such boundless greed. I'll add another 2 million. My mouth twitched. Not selling, Yi Xiao's face screamed. Don't refuse a toast only to drink a forfeit. An extra 3 million. Still not selling. 4 million. The veins on my forehead throbbed even harder. Does this woman not understand human language? Yi Xiao's face darkened, as if looking at something filthy. 5 million. Not a cent more, plus the 5 million in the contract. That's 10 million in total. I'll say it again. Not selling. This time, Yi Xiao was truly furious. She took a step forward, closing in on me, trying to suppress me with her overbearing aura, scheming to force my submission, but it was as if I had a level 100 shield. I didn't feel the slightest bit of pressure from this female lead. After a few seconds of a standoff, Yi Xiao finally spoke up. Chu Fan, do you know the consequences of pissing me off? Right now, I'm still negotiating with you nicely. If you agree, you can still walk away with a massive sum of money you wouldn't be able to make in your entire lifetime. The woman narrowed her incomparably arrogant eyes. But if you don't know what's good for you, and keep pushing your luck, then don't blame me for getting ugly. I shoved my hands into my pockets and looked at her leisurely. Pray tell, how exactly are you going to get ugly? Yi Xiao scoffed coldly. You haven't gone to the university to register yet, have you? Do you know how many people have accidents right before enrollment and get their admission revoked? Without the status of a prestigious university student, all your hard work, studying, and taking exams, you wouldn't want it all to go down the drain at the last minute, would you? I raised an eyebrow. Are you threatening me? Planning on a forced transaction? Yi Xiao sneered again. She didn't spell it out, but her eyes made it perfectly clear. I looked at her like she was an absolute idiot. Do you know that organ trafficking is illegal? Yi Xiao looked at me like she was watching a comedy. Instead of answering my question directly, she arrogantly declared, there has never been a thing that I, Yi Xiao, wanted, that I couldn't get, so you're deliberately breaking the law. I thought for a moment. In the original plot, the female lead relied on all sorts of power and schemes, treating the law like nothing, and viewing all moral standards as complete trash. Regardless, as long as it was for the male lead, as long as she could spoil him, everything else could be trampled underfoot. My mouth twitched. You really have no bottom line, Yi Xiao. She had truly run out of patience. She felt that talking to me for this long was already a massive act of grace. Seeing me still stubbornly refusing to submit, she immediately gave a signal, preparing to have her men rush in and restrain me. To force me to sign the papers, Yi Xiao shouted toward the door. Get in here. Right after, several police officers appeared at the door. Seeing this, Yi Xiao was dumbfounded. The police asked directly, who here reported a case of trespassing? I immediately raised my hand, then pointed at Yi Xiao. Not only is this person trespassing, but she's also attempting forced organ trafficking. She even has several of her goons waiting outside. She planned to just rob me if she couldn't buy it. Truly a prime example of the criminal underworld. Save me. After saying that, I ran behind the police officers. I cowered, pretending to tremble in fear. Then I pointed at the contract on the ground. Look, officers, that contract on the ground is the proof. A police officer picked up the contract. They all took a look at it, and their expressions instantly turned cold. This is outrageous. In broad daylight, how dare you commit such an illegal act? Take them away. Yi Xiao frowned. Maintaining her cold, overbearing CEO aura, she haughtily explained, officers, this is all a misunderstanding. This contract is invalid. It hasn't even been signed. I interrupted. If it were signed, it'd be done for. If it were signed, would you claim that our transaction was complete? And that since it's just business, the police wouldn't have the right to interfere. Hearing this, the officers' faces grew even sterner. They glared at Yi Xiao, as if looking at an unforgivable criminal. Two officers even got into a tactical stance, ready to draw their weapons. Explain. For a domineering CEO like Yi Xiao, explaining herself was beneath her, so she said coldly, you want to arrest me? Let's see if you even have what it takes. Then, Yi Xiao let out a cold snort. The bodyguards who had been standing guard outside, the ones she brought to rough me up, all rushed in at once. Their aura was fierce and imposing. Seeing Yi Xiao pull this stunt, I was practically blinded by her audacity. She's been the main character for so long, used to acting arrogant and overbearing, relying on her wealth and power, that she totally forgot the people standing in front of her were actual law enforcement officers. They were police officers protecting public order. Sure enough, the officers moved in unison. They neatly drew the firearms from their holsters, aiming the pitch-black muzzles right at Yi Xiao and her guards. Those guys instantly froze in their tracks. A fight was completely out of the question now. In the end, Yi Xiao and her bodyguards were all taken away. As they walked out of my house, the police even kindly comforted me and left their contact info. The criminal underworld is really running rampant these days. If you notice anything unusual, contact us immediately. We'll also send people to keep an eye on you. just in case they try to retaliate. I nodded and thanked the officers, then looked into Yi Xiao's eyes, which looked like they wanted to eat me alive. I flashed her a bright, toothy smile. Do they have what it takes to arrest you? Have you figured that out by now? Yi Xiao gritted her teeth in rage. Chu Fan, you've got guts. Just you wait. Smack before Yi Xiao could even finish, the lead officer smacked her hard on the back of the head. How dare you threaten the victim right in front of us? You really think you're above the law? Take her back and investigate thoroughly. Let's see what other illegal acts she's committed. Yi Xiao and her gang were hauled away. The world was finally quiet. I let out a yawn and went back to catch up on my sleep. The next day, following my memories, I headed to my part-time job. I was there to quit. The original owner's greatest wish was to have a complete and healthy body. As an outstanding task taker, I figured I needed to thoroughly fulfill this wish of his, so I decided to quit and find another job. Just after I finished talking to the boss about resigning and walked out of the office, I bumped into someone. Chu Fan, how did acknowledging your family go yesterday? Did it go well? Don't tell me you've already become a young master of a wealthy, upper-class family. That's so great. You'll have endless money to spend from now on. Suddenly, a male student appeared in front of me, about my age, wearing a waiter's uniform. At first glance, you could tell he was working part-time for tuition. I sifted through the plot's memories and knew clearly that this was the guy who tricked me into working for the TV crew, resulting in me being confusingly shoved onto the broadcast stage. Fang Qiang. His words were full of admiration and congratulations. But he couldn't hide the sour jealousy in his tone, no matter how hard he tried. There was even a hint of envy in his eyes. Just like me, Fang Qiang was also a student about to start college. We're from the same hometown and will even be classmates in the future. Of course, the original owner of this body was the top scorer in the college entrance exam, while Fang Qiang was dead last. If the number of applicants to this school had been even slightly higher, he wouldn't have stood a chance. Due to a bunch of overlapping circumstances, the two of them became friends after meeting. We worked together, and our relationship was pretty good. I even used to trust him. I just never expected him to trick me into going on that TV show and dig such a massive hole for me. What did Fang Qiang say after that incident? I just had good intentions. A country bumpkin from a rural village. If you really are the long-lost young master of the prestigious Chu family, wouldn't you be striking it rich? It's something others would die of jealousy over. If I were you, I'd be praying for something this good to happen to me. Too bad I'm not destined for wealth. As your friend, I hoped you could reunite with your biological parents. I just wanted to help you out. For my own good, I glanced at Fang Qiang's expression, clearly seeing the deep-seated jealousy hidden in his eyes, being so petty and jealous that I was about to change my life and become a wealthy young master. Then why would he help set this up? He must have received quite a lot of benefits behind my back. How much money did that couple give you? I looked coldly at Fang Qiang. Fang Qiang was stunned for a moment. He completely didn't expect me to ask that. His eyes flickered briefly, but he quickly suppressed it. What are you talking about? I just hope you can reunite with your biological parents, return to your family, and become a wealthy young master. Look, aren't you doing great right now? You even came here to resign. You don't have to worry about a few $1,000 for tuition anymore. Unlike me, who still has to work my butt off at a part-time job. Fang Qiang let out a sigh. His words were dripping with jealousy. How about you put in a good word for me with your parents? Arrange a cushy, high-paying job for me at the Chu Group. I looked at Fang Qiang's face. How could someone be so shamelessly thick-skinned? I'm not acknowledging them. Hearing this, a look of utter disbelief washed over Fang Qiang's face. Seeing that I wasn't joking around, a flash of relief appeared in his eyes. Then he immediately feigned a look of regret. Why wouldn't you? That's Mr. and Mrs. Chu. They're local tycoons. I took a step forward, closing the distance between Fang Qiang and me. I stared straight at him, as if peering right through his soul. Do you have any idea why they suddenly want me back? Fang Qiang awkwardly averted his gaze. Isn't it because they wanted to find their own flesh and blood? What other reason could there be? If a massive stroke of luck like this fell into anyone else's lap, they'd be over the moon, only he would act all pretentious about it. Could it be that he just wants to play hard to get, so his biological parents feel even more guilty and treat him better in the future? Has so young, but so incredibly scheming. Mr. and Mrs. Chu were so generous to me. Doesn't that prove their sincerity in wanting him back? Fang Qiang thought to himself, feeling even more disdain for me in his heart. I advise you to quit while you're ahead. Don't push it. Be careful or this might just backfire on you. I cut him off. They want my kidney to save their precious younger son. Chu Cheng has kidney failure. Fang Qiang was completely dumbfounded for a moment, but he quickly regained his composure and self-righteously argued. Even if that's true, you still can't just disown your family. Blood is thicker than water. You're all from the same family. Besides, has your biological younger brother. If it's already at the point where he needs a transplant, his condition must be critical. You're perfectly healthy. Losing one kidney isn't going to kill you. What's wrong with helping your own brother out? Trading a single kidney for a lifetime of wealth and luxury. Other people would kill for an opportunity like this. I sneered. If you think it's such a great opportunity, why don't I give it to you instead? Fang Qiang instantly got defensive and shot back. How could that even work? Then hastily added, besides, I'm not related to the young master of the Goof family, so it definitely won't work. I sneered. That's not necessarily true. Kidney compatibility depends on fate, not bloodlines. Who knows? Maybe you're destined for wealth and glory. Come on. Let's go to the hospital right now and test your compatibility. I'm sure the Chu family would be more than happy to cover your medical fees, I said, reaching out to grab Fang Qiang. Terrified, Fang Qiang backed away repeatedly and bolted straight into the staff locker room. I have to get back to work. I'm done talking to you. With a loud bang, he slammed the locker room door shut and bolted it from the inside. I stared at the tightly shut door, let out a cold sneer, and turned away. After quitting, I immediately started looking for a new job. If I wanted a healthy body, just eating and sleeping well wasn't going to cut it. I needed regular physical training. The best place for that was a gym, but gyms were hiring certified trainers, and I didn't have a certification. I didn't have any experience either. So after walking around for a bit, I finally stepped into a boxing club. In this world, boxing was highly regarded. Many rich kids with too much free time on their hands would come here to throw a few punches. As for whether they were just showing off or actually working out, that was a different story. The position I applied for was a sparring partner. Sparring required a tough physique. This body of mine was just that of an ordinary college student. It wasn't built like a tank, nor was it aristocratically frail, but I possessed a powerful soul and spiritual energy. Even with an average physique, I could still coat myself in spiritual energy. To form a protective shield, the manager of the boxing club saw me, a scrawny kid, wanting to be a sparring partner, and immediately tried to kick me out. I stubbornly refused to leave, and ended up hanging from a pull-up bar nearby for an entire hour. That actually shocked him. And he finally agreed to give me a shot. Even if you've got some arm strength, this job isn't for ordinary people. You'll see what I mean in a bit. The club staff geared me up. After I put on my protective gear, the manager said that to me. Then, he watched me step into the ring and send my opponent flying with a single punch. Everyone was instantly dumbfounded. Sorry about that. I accidentally fought back. Let's do it again. I won't fight back this time. I scratched my head guiltily and said to the manager. The guy who got blasted out of the ring was also a sparring partner. He had some basic boxing skills, so getting sent flying out of nowhere bruised his ego. He quickly scrambled to his feet. I wasn't ready just now. Let's go again. So, we went at it again. This time I did it on purpose. Yeah, on purpose to hold back from hitting him, but I just kept dodging, and dodging. He couldn't land a single hit on me no matter what. Finally, infuriated, he let out a roar and lunged at me with a wild swing. I leaned aside to dodge, and he crashed straight into the ring ropes. Before tumbling out of bounds, he wasn't hurt, but he completely lost face. In the end, I was hired. It wasn't a full-time gig. I just needed to show up for 4 hours every evening. For someone like me who was about to start the new school semester, it was pretty much perfect. Back at my rented room, since I didn't have a computer, I had to ask the system to post some news online for me. The content of the post was very simple, just 2 headlines. The first, the Chu group has found their abandoned eldest son and is preparing to welcome him home. The second, Chu Cheng is suffering from uremia and needs a kidney transplant, but a donor has yet to be found. These 2 posts didn't explicitly mention any connection, but that wouldn't stop the internet sleuths from putting 2 and 2 together. Someone even dug up my interview from when I was the top university scorer. In an instant, these 2 news stories went insanely viral on the internet, sparking countless related topics. The top university scorer is actually the long-lost eldest son of the Chu family. The Chu group welcomes back their eldest son just to harvest his kidney for his younger brother. The eldest son trades his life for the second son. Instantly, the internet exploded with endless discussions. I was eating my instant noodles while scrolling through the system, enjoying the massive flame war among the netizens, thinking to myself, the moral compass of the netizens in this world is actually pretty normal, isn't it? Even though this small world has a few bugs and the protagonists have twisted values, the vast majority of the public still has common sense. The system, Mo, chimed in. The protagonist's aura is extremely strong, but it only affects the people directly around them. However, just that alone is enough to distort the fate of this small world. I know. I took a huge slurp of my noodles and mumbled as I chewed. So isn't this why you need me to step in, tear apart their protagonist aura, and restore order to this small world? Meanwhile, Yi Xiao was taken away by the police, severely lectured and reprimanded for 2 days, and only after pulling some strings and paying bail was she barely let out. Returning to her villa, she was furious, immediately smashing a decorative vase in the hall. Outrageous. She had never been played for a fool like this before. This was a blatant provocation. To think a wet-behind-the-ears college student would dare to provoke her. The dignified CEO of the Yi Group Somebody Yi Xiao vented her anger on the butler and her assistant. Before barking out orders, send someone to tie up Chu Fan and bring him here immediately. Also, contact S University and tell them to revoke Chu Fan's admission. The assistant stood